Yeah, it's
Right. Perfect. I'll give it until we get a minute in, and then we can start the podcast properly. But anyone who tunes in right away or is watching through the YouTube, what myself, Jack, and Lanners are going to do today is mainly run through the best 11 outside of last year's top 6 clubs. And I think, with the exception of Newcastle, I think the top 6 is pretty much the top 6 of what last year was anyway, to be honest. So it's just a recap. So City, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Liverpool. So any other club that fits in the 14 of that are in the Premier League at the moment, obviously with the inclusion of the 3 that come up last year. So yeah, we're gonna run through that. So we're gonna start off with the first position on the sheet. So we've got choose your top choice goalkeeper outside of the top 6 clubs. So I'll go first on this. So what we'll do is, boys, I'll go me, and then we'll go Lanners, and then we'll go Jack. And then afterwards, we'll pick, upon discussion, not a verbal abuse agreement, but upon discussion, what goalkeeper or what defender or what position we're going to go with. So choose your top choice GK outside of the top 6 clubs. So for me personally, I would have gone Nick Pope, but there's too many good Newcastle outfield players for me to pick him, basically. So my choice is actually Meslier.
I went for him.
Yeah, I think for me, he's best young goalkeeper in the Prem. I think he had his moments early on, a few mistakes and stuff. But when I've watched Leeds, because my father-in-law is a Leeds fan, when I watch Leeds, when I got forced to, one-on-one, he is a top goalkeeper. I feel like sometimes Nick Pope had it when he was at Burnley, and he shone in the light. I think you do get put under the limelight a little bit when your team's pretty poor defensively, because you obviously have a lot more shots to face, and sometimes that can be bad. But I think in Mellier's case, he's a good shot stopper. So, in my opinion, based on the fact that we're only allowed to pick 2 from each individual club, I think Meslier is my pick. We'll go Lanners next.
Yeah, mate. Literally took the words out of my mouth. I've picked Meslier, good young French goalkeeper, very assured of himself. As you said, he does have his moments, like against Everton, against James Coleman. Don't know what he's doing, standing a couple of yards off his line. But other than that, mate, he's made some outstanding saves this season and kept like leads in certain games. So I've never really watched him too tough, but I know that he's a good goalkeeper, so I went for Meslier as well.
Your turn.
I went David Raya from Brentford. Because if you think about it, he's had the most saves in the Prem, and normally that's associated with like teams at the bottom. But the fact that they're near the top with the most saves, it shows his importance to the team. I think he's got the most clean sheets in the Premier League, bar 4 or 5 goalkeepers. And the 4 or 5 goalkeepers, 4 of them are from like the traditional top 6. And the other one's obviously Nick Pope, who's from Newcastle, having a fantastic season.
Matt.
Just confirm, Jack, your pick was?
David Raya.
Who?
David Raya.
I'm playing.
David Raya, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you now, mate. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. On this occasion, I think. Do you think we should maybe go on the basis that the majority has gone for one person, or are you willing to argue to get your goalkeeper put in there?
I'm not going to argue that.
No, fine, right.
I forgot about Meslier, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think he was one for me where I only thought about it as soon as I went through the table and was looking at different teams, seeing what the best players were, and he stood out for one for me. So, right, first player in the team is Ilan Meslier. Right, next position we've got coming in at right back. I think this is a pretty obvious one for most people. I've gone early with a Newcastle pick, which is quite risky. But I feel like he's probably been one of the best players this season. But I've gone Trippier. I think in the past maybe even 6 years, obviously I think at the start of those 6 years being at Atletico, and then obviously moving on to Newcastle and stuff. I think he's probably, barring Trent, maybe in my opinion, probably one of the best set piece and even dead ball kind of deliveries and even open field deliveries for a fullback out there. Probably I can't really name many more. He's probably in the top 5. He's a huge piece of the defence of the Newcastle puzzle, I think, because he plays next to Fabian Schär as well, and them two down that side just look super solid. I think they've conceded hardly any goals this year in comparison to last year. And I was looking earlier, average last year 1.6 goals per game after 38 games. They've played 26 and they've only conceded 19, so 0.7 goals a game. And that Newcastle defence, obviously, along with Pope, has been super solid. But I don't think there's any looking past Trippier at right back unless you've chosen 2 Newcastle players elsewhere on the field. But I'll hand over to Lanners this one.
I went for Reece James. If we're going off the current table, because Chelsea at home.
No, we're not.
We're not.
No.
So then, damn. I knew it. I thought so. Then I will quickly make an adjustment and let me have a look. Then I will have to go for, because I've got a few on the bench. Do I go bias and go Trippier? Yeah, you've got to go Trippier, innit? There's no one, as you said, traditionally at the top. So it's like what he brings at his age as well. Quality international footballer for Gareth Southgate. He's played in other leagues. He's played for Tottenham, as much as I hate Tottenham. He's been around and he's done it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a top draw player. Like, he's literally transformed Newcastle from a relegation fighting club to potentially getting top 4, which I hope they do actually. I think in certain clubs you do get players that once you bring them in, they can change the atmosphere and mood in the dressing room. And I think he's definitely done that for Newcastle. And he is their outstanding player. He is that player you go to when you look for results, even though he's a right back. But as you said, as a set piece specialist, he's one of the best. I was thinking of him or Southampton's Kyle Walker-Peters, who can play right back. So actually, to even change up, I will go Kyle Walker-Peters because he's a very talented young right back who I believe deserves a bigger move, probably in the top 8. He can push to top 10, top 6 rather, but definitely top 8. So right back, I would actually go for Kyle Walker-Peters, but Kieran Trippier is on my bench.
Cool. Jack?
Well, I don't think it really matters because I went Kieran Trippier as well, to be fair. That's where my Nick Pope did. I would have put Nick Pope in there maybe, but my 2 Newcastle picks went elsewhere, obviously. I feel like at Spurs he was very liable to concede as well. It seems since he's come back from Spain, he's got a lot more resolute in defence.
Yeah, I think I agree. Completely agree, actually. So we've basically got a clean sweep there. I think Landers is probably being a bit on the cautious side. He's probably got 2 Newcastle players already elsewhere. But these are the picks from the boys so far. I think. So, Landers, I suppose you're not going to argue then if we go for Trippier right back.
Hell no, because he's on my bench. So,
right.
I wanted to obviously change up a little bit. But yeah. I'm not going to argue the point of Kieran Trippier. I mean, he's been outstanding.
Perfect. Right then, boys, let's move on. What we're going to do here, Landers, is I said to Jack earlier, what we'll do for centre backs and centre mids, we'll say both our centre backs move on to the next person, and both our centre mids move on to the next person because we might have picked 1-on-1. So next, we've got choose your top choice centre backs outside of the top 6 clubs, and I've picked 2 players. One of them, I think, is a dead cert to get in the Premier League team this season this year, whether it be on the bench or whether it be starting, depends how you look at it. But I've gone for one of them being Sven Botman. I think what I was talking about with the averaging goals per game, obviously, is not as much allocated to Trippier as such, but it's probably Botman being kind of the big factor in that. Obviously, Fabian Schär's been decent as well, but looking at what's actually changed, as Jack said a minute ago, in the past year, not a huge amount really, but Botman's come in. I'm quite surprised really. It looks like quite a big lump, but he can shift. Well, I've seen a couple of times this season, the ball's gone either over the top of him or someone's tried to take him on as a winger. And he's just covered the ground quite easily a bit, kind of, obviously not in the same stature as Van Dijk yet, but in kind of Van Dijk form where he looks like he's going to lose the race and then he just puts the gas on. But yeah, I think if we had a captain in this team, I think he would be my captain. I think he's probably been one of my favourite players so far this year to watch. So that's why I've gone for Botman. And then also I've gone for Mark Guehi, who plays for Palace. I was tossing up between him and Anderson. And I think looking at it on the face of it, I remember when Anderson played Liverpool and against, I think it was Nunez, and they was having a tear up all game. And I don't think Guehi gets involved in that side of things. And I quite like that about him. He's quite level-headed. He's quite cool. On the ball, he's decent. I think he's got a lot of the attributes that Anderson's actually got himself. But I feel like that bit of pace and recovery, if he makes a mistake, to get back, I think he would be my pick out of 2 of them. So I was looking for a Palace player to chuck in as well, to be honest, because most of the other players in my team are covered for the 2-player rule. So I've gone for Botman and Guehi. So I'll pass over to Lanners for his choices.
Yeah. I went for Guehi and I went for Konza from Aston Villa. Konza's he's a good defender. I've always rated him. He's always been on the periphery of an England call-up. I don't know if he's made his debut yet for England, to my knowledge, no. But I've really liked him. He's really solid. He's good on the ball. He can pass the ball. He's not like Tyrone Mings where you're not really kind of sure of what you're going to get from him. But with Konza, he's quick. He stands up. He doesn't always just fly into challenges. Takes the striker down the line. Doesn't always allow them to cut in. He's just a solid round-the-world defender. And I agree with this whole Guy talk. Guy is a good young centre-back. Like, when you look at the crop of players Chelsea let go, from Tomori to Guy to loads of others, Guy was the one that stood out because when he was on loan at Palace last year, he was absolutely immense. He really showed people that, yo, I belong in the Premier League. I deserve to be playing in the Premier League, led by leadership. And there's a few games this season, actually, I think he's been captain. So Guy, at such a young age, is showing such leadership qualities that you just can't look past him. So I've gone for Guy and Konza as my 2 centre-backs.
Solid. Can't argue. Jack, over to you, mate.
The first one I went with, same as Finn Botman. He's transformed Newcastle like Kieran Trippier has, and he came over here with a lot of expectation, but he's bossed it from what I've seen already. The other centre back I went with, I struggled. I looked at Guehi, but I decided to go. To be fair, if Guehi goes in, I don't really mind too much. But I went with Jochen Anderson. I feel like he's the one out of the 2 that goes under the radar a bit more. Guehi feels like the one that gets talked about a lot.
I feel people like Jochen Anderson. I think it's also because Guy's English. There's maybe more eyes on him, because especially when you got people like Harry Maguire. I mean, he's an absolute fridge of a defender. You know, because Guy, he's young, he's talented, and people saying, you know, like how Fikayo Tomori's not in the England team doesn't make sense to me over Harry Maguire. You could say the same thing for Gay as well, because them two technically are better than Harry Maguire. But Harry Maguire is just in there because Gareth Southgate has his favourites. That's why I think myself and Greg have gone for Gay.
Yeah, right. So, Jack, you're happy with putting Gehi in as the first one?
I should find another name, to be honest.
Yeah, so we've then got Botman. Lanners, you happy with Botman?
Yeah, I'm happy with Botman.
Cool. Right, that gives us a bit of a toughie now, though, because we've used both Newcastle picks already.
You guys are silly, man. You guys are absolutely silly. Because the next week I've gone for, mate, absolute baller.
Yeah, I know you're going to say already. Right.
Ball.
Oh, first CB selection, Botman. And second CB selection is, fortunately for me and Lanners, Wehi. I'm glad Jack didn't argue about that one. So, next, we've nearly done our back four now. Last piece of the puzzle for the back four is left back. So I'll go first on this one. So I've gone for somebody, I must admit, this was the last player I put into my team because I wanted to get all the other positions sorted first. And I thought I was comfortable with being able to choose a left back. And then when it comes to the left backs, I was a bit puzzled. But I went for Estupiñán, who plays for Brighton.
Yeah.
I think even though Cucurella has looked awful for Chelsea so far, taking over from what Cucurella was doing at Brighton and being such a big piece of why they were doing so well, it's kind of been a bit comfortable for him. Like he's looked solid. I think even defensively, attacking, I think he's only got 3 assists this year, but he's looked like he's been creating chances for him, and he's not really put too much, I suppose, out of place really in terms of their back four. Could have happened quite easily where you swap someone as effective as Cucurella in or out for somebody who's not as good or is a bit more inexperienced, but he's been solid. So I went for Brighton's Estupiñán.
I've gone for Fulham's Robinson. I forgot his first name. Attackingly from the USA. Attackingly, really good. Really, really, really good. I've watched him a couple of times. Even, was it 2 years ago that they came up? Watched him that season. He looks really good attackingly. There is question marks about him defensively at times, but I think that comes with like his age. He's like 23, 22. So he's still quite young. So he still has a lot to learn as a left back defensively, but attackingly, he's probably one of the best fullbacks at attacking in the Prem for his age group and category. Puts in a good ball for Mitrovic to head the ball in the net. He can go up and down. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of stamina. So I've gone for Fulham's Robertson, left back from USA.
Perfect, Jacko.
I've gone with Estupiñán as well, to be fair. Because when Cucurella got sold, there was...
You there, Lanners?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Right, yes. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
It froze for some reason. Yeah, I went with Estupiñán. Because when Cucurella got sold to Chelsea, there was a lot of worries about who would play left back. But for 16 million, he's probably done the exact same job, and they're 7th in the Premier League under Zerbi.
Yeah, agreed. Are we going for the majority there, or?
Yeah, majority wins.
So far, I went Estupiñán, Lanners went Robinson, and Jack went Estupiñán. And we've gone for Estupiñán. Right, so that's the back five sorted actually. We'll then move on to what I think will probably be the most contentious choices we're going to pick here. So what I've done is I've gone for 2 CMs an attacking midfielder, and then wingers and a striker. So, right, I'm obviously a West Ham fan, obviously. So
We were going right there straight away.
my first pick is Declan Rice. I think previously, prior to the World Cup, I think the people were still saying, "Oh, English tax, 100 million, what a load of rubbish. No one's paying that for him." I think after the World Cup, I think he looked solid there. Last year, if you were watching West Ham at all in the Europa League, obviously got all the way to the semi-finals. He was absolutely unbelievable in certain games. So I think we played Lyon away. He scored and had an unbelievable game. Marked two of their best players out of the game completely. At CM, they've got Houssam Aouar, which he just absolutely terrorised. Basically, he was every single time. I think if anybody watched England recently, maybe a bit less in the game against Ukraine, but in the Italy game in the first half, he was literally unplayable. And they're meant to have three of the best ball playing centre midfielders in the world. And he literally, every time they went to try and play through the lines, he was cutting it out. He plays so calmly, whether he goes forwards or backwards. He's one of them players that it's not like Henderson, where he tries to just play backwards and sideways. I think he does look forward before he goes wide. And I think a lot is made of Rice's lack of goals and assists. But I think over time they'll either come, or he'll just have to do kind of a bit of a Kante role in terms of not the running about and doing the exact job of Kante, but just saying to him, look, you need to stay there. You're not meant to go upfield. Just stay there. Make sure that we don't get counter-attacked. Because as much as I feel like that would limit him a little bit, I don't think at the moment he's good enough offensively to then take away his defensive side of his game. But I feel like I know I'm a West Ham fan, as I say, but I think he's probably one of the best players from that kind of youngish era. I suppose like sub-25 sort of things, sub-26 that we've got at the moment. So I've gone with Rice. My second pick is one only because, and this is going to do him a bit of a disservice, I suppose, but only really because I didn't have any more Newcastle picks, because I feel like two of the best CMs in the whole league at the moment are both Newcastle players, in Joelinton, who's obviously a fouled striker, and then Bruno G, who is just a joke. But I've gone for James Ward-Prowse as my second CM. We've said it before on a previous TikTok video, but I genuinely think, barring Messi, maybe he is the best free kick taker in the world. Probably as good as Messi, in my opinion, genuinely. I just feel like I watched a YouTube video of him as well the other day. I think it was with one of the Sidemen team, and then a guy called ChrisMD, and just whipping balls in. Like they put it wasn't. I watched a YouTube video of Ward-Prowse the other day, and it was with Chunks. And he had a JD sign in the corner. I don't know if anyone's seen it. And he said, I'm trying to hit a JD sign. And he whipped it, and it went in the corner. It's literally a ball gap. It went in between the gap of where the JD sign was in the top corner. And they were joking and saying, I'll do it again. And he done it again, and he whipped it. It went straight into the top bin again. And it was just like, and he said, how many, I didn't believe this. He said, how many do you take, like when practicing before a game? He said, I only take 7. He said, if I take more than 7, he said, I get too much in my own head. So he said, so before the game on the Saturday, I'll turn up, put the ball down max 7 times. So if I do it more than that, then it gets too repetitive and I can't focus properly. But I've gone a bit off topic there. But he's got 15 goal involvements this year and last year. Past 2 seasons. He's got 15 goal involvements. I think at somewhere like Southampton, if they didn't have 15 goal involvements from one individual player, they'd probably be down.
They're still potentially get relegated. So
I think without him, I don't know. The one thing I'm surprised about with James Ward-Prowse is that no top 10, even I would say top 8, even to top 6 side has taken a chance on him yet. I just feel like,
where can he go now then?
What's that?
Realistically, where can he go now?
I'd have put him in at Tottenham. I think they're looking for someone like Ward-Prowse, but they just won't spend the money. I find it weird. They're playing like Harry Winks and Oliver Skipp, and I'm thinking to myself, you've literally got a ready-made 10 times, 100 times better player than Oliver Skipp and Ward-Prowse, and you're just dragging your heels. I think they should have signed him a few years ago, to be honest. But Yeah, I think after that Dembele era, they kind of changed their mentality to a bit more footballing. But yeah, so just to summarise my nonsense, boys, I've gone for Rice and Ward-Prowse as my CMs.
Right.
Manners?
You've given Rice the best PR he's probably ever had. So I don't need to speak more on Declan Rice. I'll go for Declan Rice.
Yes.
Now, what do I do? I've got 3 options here. Fuck. Oh, language. Okay, one is. Oh no, not from Everton.
Yes.
Outrageous footballer.
Yeah.
Outrageous footballer. Like ridiculous. Like, and the fact is, he's only 21 when we found out, when we went, because we went to Brentford v Everton earlier in the season, and obviously we saw a good friend of ours, Alex Obi, and he was like, "Yeah, Onana's 21." I was like, 21? He looks like 26, 27, and he's bloody 6'4". The guy technically, I mean, he's out of this world, mate. I think even when he signed for Everton, I think Chelsea even tried to hijack the deal, which shows how much promise and how much talent Onana's got as a footballer. I mean, he can run for days. He don't really need to jump off the floor for headers. He can pass. He's very skillful. He can shoot. I mean, Onana's that guy, man. So for me, my two midfielders are Onana and Declan Rice.
Okay. Jack?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought it froze again. The first one I'm not going to describe it. You just spoke about him for about half an hour, Craig. Declan Rice goes in there straight away. The other one, I was going to put Onana in there, but there's another Belgian player I went for. Saints player, Romeo Lavia.
What?
I think he makes Southampton 10 times better. Without him, I think they'd already be down. There's a reason City to buy him back. Then Lavia is going to give him a good chance. Which in that case, Ward-Prowse shouldn't be in it at all.
But I ain't seen much of Lavia to be like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? He hasn't stood out to me yet. Like, I haven't seen him play much. Like, he's either
Against
been on the bench.
He was quality.
I've seen cameos.
Right, so boys, looking at this. Oh, sorry, Jack, go on.
No, go on. It's fine.
I was going to say, mate, I just wanted to cut you off a little bit there because I was thinking to myself, whatever you say, I feel like you wouldn't mind if Onana went in.
No, I wouldn't, be fair. I was going to put Onana in there, like I say.
Yeah, I was as well. As soon as this morning I looked and I was looking for Everton players, I was thinking, I've got to put Onana in. And then I thought to myself, no, you know what? I do really like watching Ward-Prowse, so I'll put Ward-Prowse in. But I think what the selections might be, if you don't mind me saying, is probably, we've all gone for Rice. So it'll probably be Rice and Onana in the midfield.
Yeah.
You all agree that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Right. This next one, got a feeling someone might have the same as me, but I'm hoping there's a bit of variety there. So the next one.
Number 10 off.
Top choice Cam, outside top 6 clubs.
Oh.
So I've gone for James Maddison.
No.
I'm not his biggest fan, if I'm being honest. I feel like sometimes his output in terms of numbers has got to be better. I think this year he's actually been all right in terms of output. He's only actually played 20 games or been involved in 20 games. And he's got 9 goals and 6 assists. So he's got 15 goal involvements in 20 games, which I think for a club like Leicester, when we haven't got Vardy firing, it's a bit different. I think when Vardy was firing, Okazaki was playing well in terms of that season when they won the league. Bit of a different story, really, because you could give the ball to Vardy 30 yards out and he could gas someone and put it in the top corner and you get an assist for it. Whereas now I think it's got to be much more measured and actually put on a plate for the strikers, because I've seen the Iheanacho play this year, mate, and he looks absolute trash sometimes. And I'm thinking, like, Maddison will whip a ball in 25, 30 yards away, stick it straight in his head, and he nods it wide. And Maddison, I think those numbers would have gone up had they had a better centre forward. I think he should have played at the World Cup as well, which I won't harp on about too much. I think he must have been carrying a knock worse than what everybody thought, if I'm being honest, because he was rumoured to be injured before. I just don't understand why having him there, not using him when we needed someone creative, especially in the end of that France game, last 10 or 15 minutes, he wasn't utilised. Yeah, I think his talent is undeniable. I think even when he came for England, or played for England the other day, I think he's just so elegant on the ball. Like, he spins, his half turns, he's looking behind himself before he gets the ball. Yeah, I think he's going to be a big part of England's success in the future, if I'm being honest, if we implement a 10 role, which probably won't happen with Southgate. But, yeah, so my pick for Cam is James Maddison. Lanners?
Yeah, Madsen. But I'm really going to go for him. Who have I got here? I've actually gone for our boy, Alex Iwobi, in the 10. Improved dramatically. I could have picked him at centre mid because he plays there for Nige. But his numbers, I think he's been Everton's best player this year. And I'd even watched the podcast with Iwobi today with the Beautiful Game podcast. If there was a pre-assist stat, he would be up there because everything starts with Iwobi and then, goes through the team. I feel the slander he gets at times is unjust. I think he's been the scapegoat at Arsenal at times. And obviously I went to watch him play. I've watched him play a couple of times live. So composed on the ball. You can see like he was made for the centre mid or number 10 role because he picks his head up, he looks, and he makes the intelligent pass. I mean, you can go for Madsen, but the only reason why I've gone for Iwobi is because he plays a lot more internationally, for Nigeria. Madsen, quality player, but he just doesn't get played enough internationally. But his stats this year, again, have been outstanding for Leicester. But then again, I do look at it realistically, where can Maddison go in the top 6? People say Tottenham. I don't really know if he can go to Newcastle anymore. So like those options are limited, and I just think Iwobi's been Everton's best player this year. So I've gone for Alex Iwobi in the number 10, where he should be playing every week. Carry on.
Yeah, I feel like Iwobi. Hasn't he not been playing in like the 8 role though? He hasn't really been playing in 10 from what I've seen.
Yeah, he's been playing in 8 because I actually had him in my team in the number 8. But obviously, when you got a man like Declan Rice, who's had the best PR message from Mr. Craig, who's worth 100 million, and then you have players like Ward-Prowse and players like that, it's hard to kind of fit him in there. So when I'm looking at it, James Maddison, it's a tit for tat. There's a real argument to be had because they've both been amazing this season. So it's just depending on who picks who.
Yeah. For me, I'm in an hour in between 2, to be honest. But I feel like Madson's probably the shout. But the other guy I was looking at was Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he's been unreal, to be honest, this season, especially for a team that have just come up. I think he's got similar numbers to James Maddison as well in terms of goals in the league this season. I believe.
Mm.
But I'm not too mad on Maddison, to be honest.
Fine. So what I'll do then, if you're not too bothered, I'll put it down as that, Jack. make it easier for the cam selections, and then we'll stick old Morgan Gibbs White in as an honourable mention at the end.
Yeah.
Ladders, are you happy with us going for Maddison? As I feel like he was probably your number 2 anyway.
Yeah, he was my number 2.
Calm, right. Perfect. Right. Now we move on, I think, to the big boys. And I think it is difficult to an extent. So my first one, I've gone. So we'll start with right wing or right mid, whatever you want to do. But my right wing selection is another West Ham player. It would be a Newcastle player if we could do more than 2, because I'd have Almiron in there. I'd have Miguel Almiron personally, but
he's going
because we've only got 2 from one club and I've taken 2 Newcastle players already, I've gone for Jared Bowen. I feel like last season was, I think, absolutely unbelievable. Like last year, he got 22 goal involvements, and the year before that, he only got 12, but he got a lot more in terms of our European campaign as well last year. I remember the Lyon game quite well. He scored a very important goal for us. He's never, I don't think, going to be a consistent like 20, 25 goals and assists, I should say. So 20, 25 goal involvements. But I was looking at choices for the right wing, and it is actually quite limited. I think if you've got 2 Newcastle players, Almiron would have been the pick. I think you could say someone like Elise, but I just think that's a bit of a bailout shout because he don't play for Palace. Like, how good is he at the moment? Not that good. We're not talking about 20 years' time how good someone going to be. I just feel like Bowen, when he's firing, is the best right winger from I say bottom 14 clubs, but you know what I mean, from outside of the top 6. So I've gone for Bowen in the right wing role. Lanners?
I knew you was going to go Bowen, but I've gone for Nento from Leeds. Standout player for Leeds. Really, really good player. Scored a mad goal in the FA Cup. And like, it was a toss-up between him and Damari Gray because I want wingers that you can't predict what they're going to do on the ball. Quick. Got a good eye for a pass. Like, not most wingers pass, but sometimes he makes that intelligent thing to cut back and whip it in the box for the striker Rodrigo or Bamford, whoever it is. And he, most importantly, defensive work, really good at his defensive work, tracks back, tracks his runners, helps whoever the left back is, he helps them out, or right back. He can play on both sides, he can play through the middle, so he's very versatile. So I've gone for Leeds and Nento.
Jacko?
With this one, I've already told you before, this one I was struggling with because I was looking at right wingers and there's not really many that have had like great seasons. I was thinking of Brennan Johnson, then I realised he's obviously they push him further forward, so that's more of the striker position. You might call it a cop out, but I did go Elise. I just feel his talent, the talent he has. This might be an outrageous shout, but he reminds me of, you know, the way Morris moves with the ball.
Yeah.
It's so similar. Obviously, not the exact same quality because he's still got a lot to prove. But it's, yeah, the archetype of it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Elise.
What are you gonna do now, Craig?
No, I'm happy to take this one away from me, to be honest, and go with one of your choices because I think my one was just a cop out, not really having much back to anyone else. It's difficult though because I think Nonto plays on the left wing for Leeds.
But then, right.
Yeah, but he plays only left,
Yeah,
which then gives you a situation because then you could then have Elise, but then Elise doesn't even start for Palace.
No, he started since the restart of the World Cup. He's been.
I think they're a better team with him in the side as well.
Yeah,
I don't mind going for Elise.
Yeah, right. Let's go Elise.
And then try and Nento on the left, but then, in my options, you've got other players
Yeah, right. So, talking of left, let's cut across to the other side. I'm going to start with mine, and I think we might end up going my answer, hopefully, on this one, because I think this bloke is an absolute crazy baller. But I've gone with one Brighton left-sided player already, and I'm going to go with Matoma for the left wing.
I forgot.
I think he's only got 6 goals and 3 assists this year, but the way that he carries the ball is like genuinely. And I don't say this as being like out of this world type thing, but I don't see anybody do that. Like you used to have back in the day when I first started watching like Premier League and football, there'd be players where they just carry the ball, and you'd know they were going to be direct with the ball all the time. The ball's like in a way a bit stuck to his foot, and he's not like a elite in terms of creating the gap to then get the shot off or find a player or anything like that. But the way he carries the ball, knowing that he's literally going towards goal, and then 9 times out of 10 for me makes the right decision anyway, or gets a shot off, or does lay it off and doesn't waste the ball. Basically, he's efficient with his dribbling. Is what I'd say. I think something massive as well was that because Trossard obviously wasn't getting on well anyway at Brighton. I think nearest to kind of a World Cup sort of time. As soon as obviously he went to Arsenal as well, so the time of the World Cup, and then when he went to Arsenal, I think they needed that left-sided winger, and I think he's literally, in my honest opinion, I genuinely think this. He is, and he will be better than Trossard. Like genuinely, I think he could be one of the best wingers from that kind of 14 teams, like outside the top 6 at the moment. Personally, I just think he's a baller. And that goal against Liverpool, no one's got that composure as a winger. No, I don't think anybody's got that sort of composure. I remember Lanners put something in the chat where I think it was Joe Gomez going down like ice spice, and then it just cut inside him and then just whipped, like spanked into the top bins. I just think he's a crazy player, mate. I really do. But yeah, so my choice is Mitoma. So we'll go over to Lanners for the next pick.
I forgot about Matoma in my one. I went. I could go for Matoma, but then I've gone to Mari Gray. I don't know what it is. I've always thought there's a player in there, and I've always thought under the right manager, under the right system, he will bag you goals. Like you seen it early when he was playing for Birmingham in the Championship. Then he went to Leicester, didn't really get his opportunity. And then you're thinking, right, what's next? Then you think he's gone over to Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know what happened over there. He's come to Everton. Other than last year scoring a goal against my club in the last second. I just feel there's a player in there, and if he's under the right team, right management, you can bring the player out of him. You saw his goal against City. So he is a confident footballer. I think everything around him just has to be right. So I went with Damari Gray, hoping Sean Dyche can revive his career, because even at the start of the season, he started off really well. And then it's kind of dropped off again, and he's not playing. But he can easily, alongside be the best player at the club with like a Wilby and stuff. So I went for Damari Gray.
Good pick, that. Jacko?
Damari Gray is a good pick, to be fair, but like you said, he has to have the right situations. I don't think a player who's getting into this team can have. He has to have the right situation. But he's a good player, to be fair. I was tossing up between 2. One was Harvey Barnes, and obviously one was Matoma. Harvey Barnes, I feel like he gets the job done. Just anyway, pace and power. Where Matoma has more talent. So I decided to go to Matoma in the end.
Okay. So we're probably going to go then for Matoma as a right winger to this one. And then this brings up the big one, which I think we're going to have a few things here to say. Because I've got one, I think originally, this is what really annoyed me as well with this whole two players from one team thing. Really annoyed me with the whole 2 players from one team thing was that I would have loved to put Isak in this team. like straight away. As soon as I was looking at who's the best strikers out of the teams outside of the top 6, I just think his pace, power, like when he's played, obviously he's been injured a little bit. He is rapid. He's strong. He's a great finisher. I think he's one of the best finishers Newcastle have had for a number of years. Doesn't really say much, so going off the back of their strikers. But I obviously couldn't go for him as our striker. So my striker is Ivan Toney. I didn't believe. I knew he was scoring goals, but I didn't believe he scored 16 this year, which he has. He's also got 4 assists, so he's got 20 goal involvements in 26 games for a striker who plays for Brentford. I know Brentford do play attacking football. I think Thomas Frank's a top draw manager, to be honest. A club like Brentford. He's only had 5 pens this year, I think, and he's got a 100% record from 22 penalties. I read earlier for Brentford. In the Premier League, I think that is. I think he might have missed one in the cup or early on or something. But yeah, 100% record for Burnley on pens, 22 taken. I think he is an all-round striker for me. Like he's more of like the old-fashioned type you used to get, where you can knock the ball up to him. I know when he come on last night when I watched the Ukraine game, ball got flicked up to him as soon as Harry Kane came off the pitch. Ball got flicked up to him. He won the first header out to the winger on the near side. I think it might have been Grealish at the time. And I was just thinking to myself, like, this is happy days. If you're a winger and you've got Ivan Toney in the middle, you either need to be getting him behind or you need to be standing there waiting for him to head the ball to you because he's such a threat at anything he wants to do. He can hold it up, bring players in. And I think, personally, him and Brian Mbeumo, the 2 main reasons Brentford are so good. So I have gone for Ivan Toney as my centre forward. Banners?
I mean, what more can I say? You said everything I've needed to say. Ivan Toney. But then I was thinking Brighton's Evan Ferguson, the young striker. Like the goal he scored against Gillingham, where he just touched it, turned, and just finished in the corner. Just shows how good Evan Ferguson can be. So he's on my bench. But, I mean, I've got Mr. Mainman, Ivan Toney. I mean, penalties, ridiculous record. He hasn't missed one, you know. And it's important to say, like, he shows them leadership qualities though. For a side like Brentford, you know, he's that guy in the dressing room that, you know, listen, like, even though they've got Mbeumo and other talented players like Janssen, but that is your go-to guy if you need a goal. Free kick, he'll score him. Holding up the ball, brilliant. Bringing other players into play, brilliant. Like, anytime Arsenal play against Brentford, I'm scared of Toney. I'm scared of Toney pinning my centre-back, Gabriel, bringing other players in, or even scoring. So, Ivan Toney, I think he will get his big move this summer. I'm just trying to think where realistically could he go. But I've gone for Mr. Ivan Toney.
Chera?
I thought Ivan Toney was a nailed-on pick, to be honest. I put him down, and I don't think anyone else would go different, to be honest. Is there any? I don't think there's really any strikers close to him outside the top 6.
Yeah, I think I would possibly say, obviously, he's fell off a little bit of injury, but I would say Mitrovic maybe is probably my number 2.
That's good.
Do you want players with the same sort of playing styles, or don't you want to switch it up a little bit, where you can have like a young Ferguson coming on?
Yeah, but it's too early for him. I think he's only played about 5 or 6 good games, I think, personally. I think
from what I've seen, bro, quality baller.
I think Ivan Toney can do it all, to be honest.
Yeah.
He can. He knocks it down well, but it's not like he don't know where the back end is. Like, the modern game is to do with getting everyone involved.
So what happens if he gets injured? Then who do you go for? Because again, you don't really want the same sort of star player because it'll be easier for a defender. You might want someone who can run in behind, who can stretch the back line. You know,
mate. If someone's bothered about getting running behind against, they're going to be more bothered about getting Mitrovic's elbows in their chops. I tell you, even if you got Tony, if you swap Tony out for Mitrovic, I think them two, as you say, though, Landers, they are similar players in the style they play, but I think they're both just as effective as each other, to be honest. I think at the start of the year, everyone was saying, "Oh, Mitrovic, championship striker, he's found his level, blah blah blah." I think he got up to about 10 goals quicker than, I suppose, obviously not Haaland, but quicker than most strikers, I think. He's only fell off, I think, from the top goal scorers, where he's been injured for quite a while. But he's a top striker, I think. I think Evan Ferguson, maybe a couple of years' time, might be the case, but I think, and it's weird that we're saying Evan Ferguson because there should be a better striker. I think maybe someone who I would say, if you was to say go for a different sort of striker to Tony, maybe Ollie Watkins. I quite like him.
Thinking about that.
Yeah, but I think outside of those two, yeah. So I think that's a pretty easy one, boys, that we've gone for there. It looks to me like potentially looking at that comment, Ivan Toney is probably the choice for the ST.
He should have gone to the World Cup.
Oh, mate, it should have done. It should have done. So that brings us to the end of our team. I'm going to run through a quick recap for anybody who's watching stream live or anybody who's coming onto the stream through via YouTube or any of the other links we've got. Our goalkeeper, so from back to front, I'm going to run through this. So goalkeeper, we've got Ilan Meslier for Leeds. Right back selection, Kieran Trippier. Two centre-backs, we went for Botman and Guehi. Left back was Estupinian. Centre mids, Rice and Anna. Cam selection was James Maddison. Right wing selection was Elise. No, sorry, I got that wrong. Right wing selection was Mitoma. We'll clear that out, Joe. And then the striker selection was a clean sweep of Ivan Toney.
Top four there, lads.
Yeah, I think that's a good team, you know. We're looking solid. And it's weird as well, though, isn't it? Because I think, like what Landers was saying, but for my honourable mentions, I had loads of people that I could have put in, like even at left back. I think until this year, I probably would have put in Henry for Brentford at left back over Estupinian, but because he's been injured all season, you can't really, or for part of the season, you can't really go.
I wish we had Bruno Guimaraes in that squad, man. Oh.
Yeah. I think St. Maximin as well, obviously, Almiron, Jolinton, Shah, Pope, all of them probably could have got in. And it probably would have been an all Newcastle team, maybe barring one or two others.
Yeah.
Obviously, Isak, I said earlier. I think even someone like Pickford, Ollie Watkins, Zaha.
I'm surprised we didn't see Zaha.
Yeah, he could have been our left winger, couldn't he, ever Mitoma? But I think Mitoma is just a bit more efficient, I'd say. Less hot and cold, more kind of consistency. Right. I've got a next question coming up. So just finish up talking about any of your honourable mentions, guys. I'm going to stick something in the comment and then we can take it from there. Anyone in your subs bench, Lanners or Jack?
Subs bench, Somerville. Let me have a look.
Let me get the list out.
Somerville. Is in my subs bench. I have Pickford in my subs bench. I went for the current table, so I had a Aubameyang on my bench. I've got my block out, yeah, but obviously can't use it. And then I have Bruno Guimaraes on my bench. And then I did have DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. Sorry about that, mate. I don't know what's going on. So that's my subs bench right there.
I had quite similar, to be fair. The only other name is maybe, Bela Kotchap from Southampton.
Yeah.
Despite him being very poor, he's been quite good. The other names have been mentioned: Barnes, Mitrovic, Brennan Johnson, obviously, and Rico Henry. That's really it.
Oh, cool. Right, boys. So this is what we're going to finish up on. We'll just do like a 5 or 10 minute stint on this. I think it might be answered quickly, but I feel like we do need some, I suppose, bit of back into it. So So I think when I was looking earlier, this question came up on Twitter, and I thought to myself, like, this is a crazy question. When I was looking at it originally, and then I looked a bit deeper into it and thought to myself, no, this is actually a decent question. So this is what was asked earlier. So it came up on my Twitter today. Whose career would you rather have had if they were both were to retire today? Jamie Vardy or Harry Kane? And I think I won't start off my opinion on it, but I'll just state a few things. I think the reason it makes it interesting is because Kane has obviously had more individual honours. He's not had any team honours. Vardy has had a couple of individual honours, but he's also had quite fantastic team honours, really. So what I'll do is quickly, I'll talk about what each one of them's got and give a bit of backing to what I suppose.
It's a no-brainer. We all know who's won this. We know who's won this. This is Jamie Vardy. He's got a Prem title. Kane ain't got no Prem title.
Right. Let me just say what they've got, Lanners, and then we can just briefly discuss it. So Jamie Vardy, Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, 1 Premier League Golden Boot, and he's Leicester's 3rd all-time top goal scorer.
Right.
So let me run through that again. If anybody, just someone just joined now. So Jamie Vardy is the Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, 1 Premier League Golden Boot, and Leicester's 3rd all-time top scorer. Whereas you've got Harry Kane, who's a 3-time Premier League top scorer, 1 World Cup Golden Boot, Spurs all-time top scorer, and England all-time top scorer. So you've got 2 sides of the coin. As I said, one very team focused, one very individual focused. I think the individual side of it though is crazy. Like, to have a World Cup Golden Boot must be unbelievable. But then on the other hand, to have a Premier League medal is probably better. So I'll let Lanners go first, and then we'll go Jack, and then I'll just finish up.
It's not just because I'm an Arsenal fan. Like, I really wonder. I actually genuinely sit there sometimes and I wonder, doesn't Harry Kane want to win a trophy? Like, I actually sit there sometimes and I think, doesn't Harry Kane want to win a trophy? Like, it's all good having these golden boots, being top goal scorer for your club, all-time top goal scorer for your club. But Jamie Vardy's won a Premier League with bloody Wes Morgan at centre-back. Harry Kane's got better centre-backs than Wes Morgan has had, like, that one season. He's had Vertonghen. Eric Dyer's woeful. Don't know how he gets an England team. But you know what I mean? Like, Harry Kane has had more quality throughout his whole Tottenham career than Jamie Vardy did. And Jamie Vardy won a bloody FA Cup, on a bloody Premier League. Mate, give me them medals, man. Because at the end of the day, football is a sport, is a team game. Also, you do get your individual honours, but I'd rather beat Jamie Vardy at this rate and drink my Red Bull before a game and win me a Premier League and FA Cup title.
Thanks, Lanners. Jacko?
There is only one answer, but it's hard to detach the player from the awards. Because let's be honest, Harry Kane is probably 10 times, actually that's harsh, 5 times the striker Jamie Vardy is. And I don't really look at some of the awards you said, like a World Cup Golden Boot. What's that? What is that? Breaking the England record, that's something. He's probably going to go on to break the Premier League record if he stays at Tottenham or United, like we've spoken about in previous ones. But when you look at the awards, Jamie Vardy's won a Premier League title, and it would be easy to say, oh yeah, it's easy to get a Premier League title even if you don't play certain minutes, but he was vital in it as well. If he weren't vital, then it'd be an easy answer. But I think it's Jamie Vardy probably rather have a career.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think if you was to kind of sit there with a crystal ball and give me the 2 options to choose at the start of my career, I'd definitely go Vardy's path. I think Leicester were unlucky as well, and obviously it doesn't really add much to the debate, but they were unlucky when they played in Europe as well. They got drawn tough in Europe. I think it was in the Champions League, got Athletic or something, or Seville, and they could have gone even on further than that, actually, because there's a few rubbish teams that made it through that year from memory. So think what he's done at Leicester and what they've done is unbelievable. I'll never forget that season they had of him and Mahrez and Kante just absolutely balling. And I think I would rather the FA Cup, the Premier League, in my trophy cabinet. I wouldn't, as I say, like I am thinking to myself, like the World Cup Golden Boot is huge. Like it's absolutely massive to win a World Cup Golden Boot because obviously you think about it, I suppose 99 times out of 100, not more than one person wins it because it's obviously more of an outright. If someone goes far in a tournament, then they've obviously got more chance. But I think to myself, like, having a World Cup Golden Boot and saying to your kid one day, like that is a top goal scorer at World Cup, it would be crazy for them to think that. But then at the same time, my dad's won the Premier League. But how many people, this is why it confused me a bit earlier when people say it's easy. How many people have won the Premier League, right? How many people have won a World Cup Golden Boot? The difference is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
clipped up.
No, it is though. Like, that's the only thing. And I think it, as you say, Jack, I am reaching a bit, but I was trying to make it a bit closer in my head than it was because straight away I was like, oh, Vardy. And then I was thinking to myself,
I know you was gonna go for that answer there.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, the World Cup Golden Boot is the same as the Premier League Golden Boot. It's a gold boot. It's a gold boot. The Premier League and FA Cup, like those are medals that you can have in your yard if you're a big baller. You know, you can even have a little replica of the trophy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like winning these individual awards, I totally get it. Like, yeah, but nothing beats the feeling of lifting the trophy when you have your family in the stands. You can take a picture with your kids, your wife, you know, have a family portrait of that in the yard and be like, yeah, I won that Premier League. Like, come on, man. Do you think Rebecca Vardy thought she was going to marry a Premier League winner? Hell no. Hell no, bruv. Kane's wife probably thinking, oh, he's probably going to win the trophy at one time. He couldn't even win a bloody Capital One Cup with Tottenham, let alone a League Cup, 2 years ago? I think now is his prime time to leave. Like, if he's really trying to win, something serious, like, it's this summer or it's just become a Tottenham legend, which doesn't really mean nothing in football.
Yeah, I think he's going to be kind of tarnished with the same brush as such as what Gerrard was in a way. I think obviously they're kind of too loyal, really. I think, and obviously,
but Gerrard won stuff, like big trophies as well.
He did win massive, obviously European trophies, but he never got that Premier League. And I'd always think to myself, like, man, I don't even know the amount of Premier Leagues Lampard's got, but like that is crazy to think. Like Lampard's won everything there ever was to win in terms of club level. Obviously not England because we haven't won anything since '66, but club level, Lampard's won everything. Even I think weirdly he might even have a PL Golden Boot.
Lampard?
Yeah, I've got a feeling he has one of his mid-years, I think. But
I think he might do.
Yeah, but regardless, he's got like him. I think him and Gerrard had like similar PFA Player of the Year nominees, and like obviously
that's all Harry Kane's got to his name. PFA players, Tottenham all-time scorer, World Cup Golden Boot, Premier League Golden Boot. That's it. There's nothing else to his career than that.
It's not even like a little Carabao Cup.
You're not even playing a little Carabao Cup. That Brentford almost won in 2013. That Swansea won.
I think if he changed, if something had changed in history, and it would change this whole debate, it would have been Tottenham beating Liverpool in that Champions League final. And I think that changes the whole debate.
But we always going to win that final.
Yeah, but if you got all them individual trophies and then you go and win the Champions League on top of that, I think that's much more than winning the Premier League, in my opinion.
It changes the conversation.
No, 100%. But again, we knew that they were never going to win.
All good, boys. All right, we're going to go leave this now. That was good. That was enjoyable, boys. Nice to see why people chose individual players. And we actually stuck to the 2-player per club rule as well, which is most important. I thought we was going to end up with about 6 or 7 Newcastle players. But yeah, we stuck to it.
I was going to end up with like 5 West Ham players in each position.
Oh, here we go.
Lovely little PR slam.
Yeah, I could have put most of the West Ham team in, to be honest, but we're about 17th at the minute, so that would have been shoved out the window. But, Yeah, all good, boys. That was a good topic as well. Enjoyed that, Jacko. So that's a good recommendation, mate. And then I've got a few things we can talk about on the next podcast as well. So I'll catch up with you boys tomorrow or later tonight, and we'll finish up there.
No worries, guys.
All right, boys. Take care. See you in a bit.